Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. I am Fox, and today I wanted to talk about why I feel at least some of you should consider coming over to Destiny 2 in the downtime period that we're all currently experiencing in the Division 2. You may have all noticed that I haven't been uploading as many build videos or content for Division 2 in general, and there are a couple of reasons behind that. One of which is just the current state of the game. Division 2, or the Division series, is and always will be my favourite game series. You know, the story, the lore, the basic foundations of the game are second to none, and I truly believe that as a franchise it has the potential to be quite simply the best franchise out there. I really do believe that. You know, it generated so much hype when the Division 1 was announced. Everybody was buzzing for it, and you know the game has gone through some very difficult spells, just like Destiny 2 has, and other games. At the moment we are in a bit of a downtime period. You know, I've not been able to sort of release as many build videos as I want because, one, I've been quite busy with other stuff actually, and two, because of the overabundance and overusage of healers and status effect builds in Conflict in the Dark Zone, it kind of limits, you know, it's indirectly restricted what people can use, and there's a bit actually less diversity in the game at the moment. But TU12 looks like it's going to bring us some interesting builds, some nice skill builds, and hopefully some sandbox changes and some bug fixes that will bring the game to a playable state again. I will still be releasing Division 2 content, so for my, you know, longer term subscribers, or just any of you really that enjoy that content, don't worry, I do still have videos coming out. I'll be releasing probably about one Division 2 video per week. But until TU12 I'm going to be releasing a couple of Destiny 2 videos as well. So, you know, if you're not a fan of Destiny 2 at all, then I totally appreciate that. What I will say is if you like the channel in general, I'll always appreciate your support. But if you do end up turning notifications off because you're not fussed about the Destiny 2 stuff, that is entirely your choice, and I'd never hold that against anybody. Ultimately, I make content that I myself would like to watch and would enjoy. So, you know, that may be a bit of a selfish endeavour, but, you know, there are at least some of you out there that do enjoy the content that I make. So I'm going to continue to do what I enjoy doing, and hopefully that will translate to you guys enjoying that as well. So let's get back to the subject at hand, Destiny 2. The reason that I think a lot of you should consider coming over to this game is because for the most part it has a similar base play style to the Division 2, in the sense that, yes, I know this is a futuristic shooter with space magic. It's made by the people that made Halo, so you've got aliens and all that kind of stuff. But ultimately, you choose the weapons that you like, you choose the perks on the weapons that you like, just like you do with your weapons in Division 2, and your gear pieces can have mods, you know, bonuses. They can buff your base stats. You choose how you do these as well, and the more you play, the more powerful gear you get, which means you can hit the more powerful content. There are raids, there are nightfalls, there's a lot of sort of heroic and legend content at the moment that, you know, you can solo or play with 2 people or 3 or even a full player team of 6 in a raid. So a lot of the basics are the same. You essentially, I don't want to call it a looter shooter, but it kind of is. You know, ultimately the purpose of this game is to get the best loot and to make the most appropriate builds. For Xbox users in particular, you are in luck. For those of you that have Game Pass Ultimate, I'll be honest, there really isn't any reason that you can't start playing this now. The entirety of Destiny 2 is included in Game Pass Ultimate for Xbox users, and I assume PC as well, but I'm not 100% on that. So for those that do have Game Pass Ultimate for Xbox and possibly for PC, you all have Destiny 2, including the brand new update that just came out a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, Beyond Light, which brought a bunch of new subclasses, weapons, content, bosses, lore, just tons of stuff. A lot of things were reworked as well. It has a very similar feel to TU8, and you know the game is going to be building from there on. Bungie, the creators, the developers of Destiny 2, have already released a 2-year roadmap, so we know full well what's coming over the next year and a half to 2 years. Something that you know, Massive really need to start doing to give us the feeling that they are still supporting the game, because I believe the general consensus with the Division 2 community, particularly with the introduction of the optimization station, is that Division 2 is on its last legs. They are probably making Division 3 or possibly even focusing on other games, and the game just has that feel about it that, you know, they are supporting it less and less, which I support their decision if they're making Division 3. You know, they started making Division 2 quite early into Division 1's lifespan, and they basically had it ready by patch 1.8. You know, I fully support that decision if that's what's happening going into Division 3. But of course that means that a lot of your favourite content creators are probably covering other games at the moment. I've noticed whenever I do YouTube searches for the big ones, they are all covering different stuff. So that just tells me that you know there's not as much that we can talk about with Division 2 at the moment. So those of you that do decide you want to come over to Destiny 2, particularly if you're Game Pass users and you won't actually have to pay anything other than what you're already paying, it's quite an easy game to get into. There's plenty of missions at the start, tutorials and so on that allow you to get into the game. The game map, the world, essentially consists of several planets, and when you have stuff to do on them, they'll always have icons here. You have an independent quest log that has your main quests as well as basic bounties that you can pick up to get loot and XP and currency. So there's a ridiculous amount of content, and you can even do the content from the older updates as well. So if you haven't played too much of Destiny 2 in its early days, when it was, I'll be honest, it was pretty terrible. Year 1 Destiny 2 was awful, but Year 2 kind of started to improve on that. Year 3 was a bit up and down, and this year looks like it's going to be pretty good based on what they're saying with all the new content. So you can do all of the older stuff by going through all your quests and doing those as well if you want, and just picking them up from all the places it tells you to in game. So yeah, it's pretty easy to get into. With regards to your builds, very similar to the Division 2, you do want to focus on builds, weapons that kind of complement your playstyle. So, for example, in Division, if you like using assault rifles, you would typically use Fenris, and then probably some builds that give you crit chance and crit damage. This isn't that different. There's no crit chance and crit damage in this game. You just either headshot or you don't, and that's a fixed number. But that can be buffed by your build by using mods and so on that increase the damage of your weapons. Each weapon has its own set of perks that you can equip, or should I say that drop with it. And you can keep farming for the same weapon that you like. So let's say this Truth Teller, for example, and all of these things here could change. You can swap these around to buff certain stats on your weapon, as you may notice in the bottom right there, they're changing, and you have different mods or perks, should I say, that give you certain benefits. So if you find a weapon that you like and it actually has some pretty good perks and it buffs its own damage when you get kills, for example, then that could work really well for you as well. The armor is exactly the same. You have 5 pieces of armor to equip. These all come with their own individual stats, which all add up to this stat pool here. And if you highlight over these, again, very self-explanatory. It tells you exactly what they do. If you increase it, what the next stage will be. So if you like using your grenades a lot, you can spec into the particular part that does that, which is discipline. If you like using your super, if you want to have loads of mobility to be fast, if you want to have loads of health, or it doesn't make a difference. You pick the stuff that you like and you can build around that. You've also got mods and so on that go onto your gear pieces as well, your armor pieces, so it's quite easy to build around those. So what I typically do is I choose the weapons that I like to play with, and you always want to have one primary ammo weapon, which is that little white bullet logo in the bottom right of that thumbnail of the AR just there. You can also, if you look at the big text box that's right in front of you, where it says 1250, which is the level of this weapon, to the right it says primary, which indicates the type of ammo. This is very much your base level type of weapon, your general ad clear. They drop the most ammo by far, but they obviously don't do as much damage as the more powerful weapons in the game. That brings us down to the next slot, which is our energy slot. Now you can have primary ammo weapons in here, but what I've done here is, you see it's got a green ammo symbol that says special. These drop far less ammo, but they typically do a lot more damage. So these are more for taking out your slightly chunkier, more difficult targets. And then finally we come down to our heavy ammo, our power weapons, which take the final purple heavy ammo. These are by far the rarest ammo drops, but these are very much akin to the specialization weapons from Division 2, such as the Sharpshooter TAC-50 or the Demolitionist Grenade Launcher. You don't get ammo for these very often, but when you do use them, they do ridiculous amounts of damage. So these are typically reserved for your bosses, but you can still use the special ammo weapon against your bosses as well. Weapons in these 2 slots do have 3 different elements that can be tied to them, and certain enemies are weaker to certain elements based on their shield. You notice this is purple, where it says 1250 there. That means that it's void. If you come over to this, you'll notice it's now changed to blue, which indicates arc, basically lightning or electricity damage. And finally we have solar, which is basically fire damage. Enemies will be shielded against certain types of those, but to make it easy, you'll know which one does more damage because it matches the colour. Quite simply, if an enemy has an orange shield, fire at them with an orange weapon and you'll kill them a hell of a lot faster. Your kinetic top slot here can't have any element attached to it, but you can have whatever you want here. You can have shotguns or snipers or grenade launchers, or just do what I do and just have a general sort of ad clear weapon. But these 2 do have elements attached to them. So this one is void and this one is solar, as you can see, the purple and orange icons there. When you find the weapons that you like, so I've gone for an auto rifle, a grenade launcher, and finally a sword, you can then start modding your gear to give you benefits. So you may notice already here on my righteous helm that I've got a stat increase, which means that my intellect is higher, so I get my super faster. I then have a sword ammo finder and a grenade launcher ammo finder. This means that when I kill enemies, they have a base percentage chance to drop, a lot more likely to drop primary, less likely to drop green, and finally the least likely to drop purple heavy. But those mods on that helmet mean that when I have a sword equipped or a grenade launcher, which I have both, killing enemies is more likely to drop those two types of ammo. So that's obviously appropriate to the weapons that I'm using. And unlike your weapons, these can be swapped out. You have a whole list of mods. And yes, I know this is very complicated, but if generally speaking, a certain portion of my subscribers do start playing Destiny or already play it, and you are interested in build videos, I'll go into this in a lot more detail. I've got thousands of hours from Destiny 1 beta up to today, probably about 3,000 hours across 2 games, which is insane, I know, but I'm a big gamer. I spend a lot of time researching and testing and just playing this game, just like I do Division 2. So I've got the knowledge and the time to go through all of this in more detail should you guys want to see it, I suppose. So each armor piece has different types of mods that you can equip. What I've done here is I've essentially just made everything based around my grenades, building up a power buff for my sword so that ultimately when I come to a boss where I'm going to use the sword as my heavy, it's going to do even more damage than it did before. But yeah, you can choose what you want. Like Division 2, you can have one exotic weapon and one exotic armor piece, and they still have their basic stat rolls just like all your other gear pieces, but they usually have unique talents. So for example, the Crest of Alpha Loopy chest piece that I'm wearing just means that when I cast my Barricade, which is an ability that the Titan has, I heal everyone, which is really nice, and that protects my team, and I can generate more orbs from my supers, which means my teammates can get their supers more frequently. There are 4 different subclasses that you can choose, and there are 3 main classes. So you've got your Hunter class, which are kind of like your rogue type characters. You have your Titans, which is my one just here. These are more your tanky sort of bulwark sort of characters that usually have loads of health. And then you have your Warlocks, which are the floaty boys that use loads of space magic. They're really good for grenades and supers and so on. And then within those 3 classes, you have 4 subclasses. A Stasis class, which is kind of like a CC class. It freezes everything. And then the 3 elements. So like your weapons, these are also Solar, Arc, and Void to match up with these. So if you've got a Void weapon, a Void and a Solar weapon as I have, but there's a lot of Arc enemies, yes, you could swap your weapon, or you could just go onto a different class. And that now has Arc, which means I could throw grenades out on this, and then they would do more damage to those Arc shielded enemies. Within the subclasses, there are actually more subclasses. So yes, I know this is probably a bit complicated for those of you that are new to the channel, but you can simply change to any class that you want, and you can have a look at what they all do. There's a lot of flexibility in this game, and it isn't as rigid as Division 2. You can kind of get away with running anything. Yes, at the end game level, certain things are meta. Actually, what I'm running right now is pretty. I mean, I use this to get through the raids that's just come out. I use this for Nightfalls, for solo content, so my build here is very just good in all aspects, but you can tweak stuff depending on the content that you want to get into. What I would suggest if you're starting out with the game, pick weapons that you like. Destiny 2, I think one thing that the entirety of the Destiny 2 community will agree on, and I'm happy to say this on their behalf, is how good it feels to shoot guns in this game. The game has gone through its problems. It's definitely had dry spells for content, just like the Division 2 is currently going through. 100% it's gone through that, probably worse than the Division ever has. But luckily we're at a stage where there's plenty of content, particularly for the newer players. Loads of endgame content. And you can just pick any weapon you want. Whatever feels good to shoot, whatever you like. If you're a sniper or a shotgun or whatever, if you don't like swords and you'd rather use a grenade launcher, a heavy machine gun, use what you want at the end of the day. And then choose the class that you want as well. You can be very flexible with this game and kind of get away with running any of these options. So what I'll do now is I'll quickly load into a bit of content. I'll show you how my build plays and just how the game feels in general, and then as I said before, if you do want to see more content, what I'm going to ask of you all is that you just let me know in the comments. I'm really curious to know if people actually want to see more of this. I will be posting Destiny 2 content anyway to appeal to a wider audience, but this video is very much targeted at my current subscriber base. If you guys like this or don't like it, I'll soon find out from those comments and likes and dislikes, so let me know your honest opinions. Right, so what I've done here is loaded into one of the end-game missions. These typically give exotic armor and some useful materials that you can build up your armor with. This is one of the lower tier versions. You can actually choose the difficulty, and you get more and better rewards based on the higher level of difficulty. I've just gone for one of the lower ones, just to give you a feel for how the game plays, to show you how my build works. And yeah, hopefully I'll spark a bit of interest for those of you that all play Division 2 and are interested in coming over to this. For those of you that are on Xbox, let me know. You can drop me a message on the channel, or you know, on my Xbox account as well. My gamer tag is included on the channel itself, and I'll group up with you if you want a bit of help getting your basic gear put together. Without sounding big-headed, I do have extensive knowledge of this game and the correct and appropriate builds and so on, and where to start, the sort of stuff you want to do to get your level up. There is a ton of content. You will not run out of things to do in this game for a long time if you're brand new coming into it. You know, I wasn't brand new coming into it, and I've still got tons of stuff to do. So, yeah, I'm more than happy to help people out that are on Xbox. As I said before, the game is included in Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, so if you already paid for that, get it downloaded. You're not going to pay anything extra for it. Sword smash these guys up. Now, it may seem quite fast-paced for those that aren't sort of familiar with Destiny 2, and you know that's only because I've played the game a lot. You don't have to do anything fancy in this game. You can just stand back, shoot stuff with the appropriate weapons, and throw your occasional grenade and melee ability out. So many slow mines. This is one of the negative modifiers of this mission. Come on. Now, I do play PvP quite a lot in this game. It is a very sort of competitive environment, but I will be releasing good videos for that as well. So for those of you that like the PvP side of my channel, I definitely prefer PvP on this, and yeah, I'm going to be making some videos for that and just showing you some general gameplay. Bam. See you later, buddy. Now this particular content actually drops an exotic sniper, so I'm going to hope that we get one. It's a very rare chance of dropping. I'm not sure what the percentage chance is, but let's hope that we get one. You never know. YouTuber's luck. This is my super, by the way. This is the new one. It's super cool. It makes you very fast, that's for sure. Wow, we are actually blasting through this content. One of my favourite things about Destiny 2, apart from, you know, just the stuff in the game that is good, is playing it with friends. It's really good fun when you play with a group of people. So getting a clan, I'll get you into my clan if you're interested in grouping up with me. It's not my own clan like it is in the Division 2, but I can certainly get you a space, and then, you know, we can group up. But if you're on PlayStation or PC, do the same. Play with your friends, play with clans. You know, the game has a very good clan system. Certainly better than the Division 2 in that sense. You get a lot of rewards for playing with your clan, like a lot of rewards. So it's definitely worth doing that. It's a good way to learn the game as well, just to play with people that maybe already know the game. See you later, buddy. Big boy punch. Oh wow, they are not supposed to die that fast. I've got quite a good team with them. These are just matchmake guys. Just randoms. Right, now we come up to the boss. Who's going to die pretty hard. Nice. Easy. Alright, let's see what rewards we get. Probably won't be much because this is a low level one, but that's just a general feel of the gameplay of the game. Yes, it is very fast paced, but it doesn't have to be. You play how you want to play, and you don't need to play how anybody else plays.
Thanks to the Guardian. But in death, Eramis becomes
Maybe one of these guys will high-five me.
Immortal. Her legacy will go
No,
on.
maybe not.
New champions will rise in
Alright, fingers crossed. Am I going to get the exotic sniper?
We must stay always vigilant.
I'm not. That's not the end of the world. I've got some important components there that I do need to build up my my exotic gear. So that's it. Thank you very much for my existing subscribers. If you did watch this, I do appreciate the support of the channel. You didn't have to watch it, so I do appreciate that. And for a lot of you out there that you might not be interested in Destiny 2, for the new people to my channel that do play Destiny 2, I will be covering more builds. I do a lot of PvP stuff, but a lot of PvE builds as well. I'll show you some raid footage, some Nightfall stuff, anything that you want to know how to do, or any builds that if you want to sort of get a bit more build diversity, then that's essentially always been the point of this channel, even from when I cover the Division 2. I will still be including those Division videos in here as well, so we are covering 2 games at the moment. But yeah, I just really wanted to say a big thank you for supporting the channel and giving me feedback on what you do and don't like. Thank you very much. I will see you all in the next video. Peace.